Welcome to Aeronet's visual simulation training program for the Airbus A320. The hydraulic system consists of three independent continuously operating systems: green, blue, and yellow. Each system has its own reservoir, pump or pumps, and accumulator. The green and yellow systems each have a fire shutoff valve. Hydraulic fluid cannot be transferred from one system to another. The normal system operating pressure is 3,000 psi. The hydraulic control panel is located on the overhead panel. There are switches for the green, blue, and yellow systems. In normal operating configuration, there are no lights illuminated on the hydraulic panel. Additional hydraulic push-button switches can be found on the maintenance panel. They are used only for maintenance purposes. The ECAM hydraulic page will be displayed automatically with any hydraulic system fault or by pressing the hydraulic push-button switch on the ECAM control panel. A pump driven by engine 1 pressurizes the green system to a normal pressure of 3,000 pounds per square inch. An electric pump pressurizes the blue system to a normal pressure of 3,000 pounds per square inch. In the case of emergency, a pump driven by the ram air turbine will pressurize the blue system to a pressure of 2,500 pounds per square inch. A pump driven by engine 2 pressurizes the yellow system to a normal pressure of 3,000 pounds per square inch. On the ground, with the engine stopped or in flight as a backup pump, the electric pump can pressurize the yellow system to a pressure of 3,000 psi. On the ground, with electric power not available, a hand pump can be used to pressurize the system. The engine 1 and 2 pump push-button switches for the green and yellow hydraulic systems are located on the overhead hydraulic panel. When the engine is running and the switch is in the on or light out position, the pumps pressurize their respective hydraulic systems. Touch the engine 1 pump push-button switch to turn it off. When the engine pump push-button switch is pushed off, the pump is depressurized and the generation of hydraulic power stops. The amber fault light illuminates if the reservoir level is low, the reservoir overheats, the reservoir air pressure is low, or the pump pressure is low. The fault light for pump low pressure is inhibited on the ground with the engines not running to prevent nuisance warnings. With the engine 1 or 2 pump push-button switch indicating fault and the switch selected off, the fault light will go out except for reservoir overheat, where the light will show fault as long as the reservoir overheat exists. The guarded blue electric pump push-button switch is normally in its auto lights out position. On the ground, with one engine running and AC power available, the electric pump will operate. In flight with AC power available, the blue electric pump will operate if the engines are running or shut down. Touch the blue electric pump push-button switch to turn it off. The pump is de-energized when the blue electric pump push-button switch is selected off. The blue electric pump push-button switch fault light will illuminate if the blue reservoir level is low, the reservoir overheats, the reservoir air pressure is low, the pump pressure is low, or the pump overheats. The pump low pressure fault is inhibited on the ground when the engines are stopped. The fault light will go off when the blue electric pump push-button switch is selected off, except for a reservoir or pump overheat where the fault light will remain illuminated as long as the overheat condition exists. Normally, the spring-loaded yellow electric pump push-button switch is in its off light-out position. With the pump selected off, the pump is de-energized. However, when a cargo door lever is set to open or close, the yellow electric pump comes on automatically. The yellow electric on light does not illuminate, and the operation of flight controls is inhibited. The pump is energized when the yellow electric pump push-button switch is selected on. The yellow electric pump push-button switch fault light will illuminate, and ECAM caution will be displayed if the yellow reservoir level is low, the reservoir air pressure is low, the reservoir overheats, the pump pressure is low, or the pump overheats. The fault light will go off when the yellow electric pump push-button switch is selected off, except for a reservoir or pump overheat where the fault light will remain illuminated as long as the overheat condition exists. Hydraulic system information is displayed on the ECAM hydraulic page. A green inline indicates the associated push-button switch for the pump is on and hydraulic pressure is normal. Hydraulic system information is displayed on the ECAM hydraulic page. A green inline indicates the associated push-button switch for the pump is on and hydraulic pressure is normal. An amber cross line indicates the associated pump is off. An amber low indicates the associated push-button switch for the pump is on, but hydraulic pressure is low. A green inline indicates the blue electric pump is on and hydraulic pressure is normal. An amber cross line indicates the blue electric pump is off. An amber low indicates the pump is on, but hydraulic pressure is low. The yellow electric pump control symbol is normally white, indicating the electric pump is off. It appears green when the electric pump is on and amber when the electric pump is on, but the yellow system has low pressure. The PTU is a bidirectional power transfer unit that allows the yellow system to pressurize the green system and vice versa without fluid transfer. The PTU push-button switch is located on the hydraulic panel. It is normally in its auto or light-out position. The PTU operates automatically when the pressure difference between the green and yellow systems is greater than 500 psi. When the power transfer unit is operating, its indications are displayed on the ECAM hydraulic page. The PTU is disarmed with the push-button switch in the off position, or if the PTU was operating, hydraulic power transfer stops. The PTU push-button switch amber fault light, accompanied by an ECAM caution, illuminates if the green or yellow reservoir level is low, air pressure is low, or overheats. The fault light goes out when the PTU push-button switch is selected off, except for a reservoir overheat, where the fault light remains illuminated as long as the overheat condition exists. With the PTU push-button switch indicating fault and the switch selected off, the fault light will go out, except for reservoir overheat, where the light will show fault as long as the reservoir overheat exists. There are 4 PTU indications on the hydraulic ECAM display. Open green arrows indicate that the PTU push-button switch is in the auto position and the PTU is not transferring pressure. Open amber arrows indicate the PTU push-button switch is selected off. When the PTU is operating, solid green arrows to the left indicates the yellow system is powering the green system, and solid green arrows to the right indicate the green system is powering the yellow system. The PTU is inhibited during the first engine start and automatically tested during the second engine start. A dropout ram air turbine, or RAT, coupled to the hydraulic pump provides backup hydraulic pressure for the blue system. The RAT deploys automatically if both AC bus 1 and 2 are lost or both engines fail. It can be stowed only on the ground. The guarded RAT manual on push button is located on the hydraulic panel. Pressing the RAT manual on push button manually deploys the RAT. There are 3 ECAM RAT indications. The wide open triangle indicates the RAT is stowed. The green solid triangle indicates the RAT is deployed and operating. The amber solid triangle indicates the RAT pump has a fault and is not available. Each hydraulic system is supplied by its own hydraulic reservoir, which is pressurized by pneumatic air pressure to prevent hydraulic pump cavitation. Hydraulic fluid cannot be interchanged between systems. The ECAM reservoir quantity indication is normally green. It becomes amber when the fluid level falls below the warning level. In case of an engine fire, the green and yellow systems each have a fire shut-off valve to cut off hydraulic fluid to the respective engine-driven pump. The fire shut-off valves can be closed by pushing the engine 1 or 2 fire push-button switch on the overhead fire panel. If the engine 1 or 2 fire shut-off valve is closed, the PTU will operate to provide sufficient hydraulic pressure.
The ECAM fire shutoff valve indication is displayed cross-line amber if the valve is fully closed. It is displayed in line green if the valve is not fully closed.
There is one accumulator in each hydraulic system, which assists in maintaining a constant pressure during normal operation. There are no associated cockpit indications. Each hydraulic system has a leak measurement valve, which measures the leakage in the circuit. The leak measurement valve push-button switches located on the overhead panel are for maintenance use only. The green and yellow systems each have load alleviation function accumulators, or LAFs, which maintain the required system pressure during rapid aileron and spoiler operation caused by turbulence. Complete coverage of the load alleviation function is contained in the flight control module. Each hydraulic system has a priority valve. If system pressure is low, the priority valve will cut off hydraulic pressure to high load users, such as nose wheel steering, the slats and flaps, and the landing gear, to maintain the operation of the essential flight controls. In the green and yellow systems, the fluid flows from the reservoirs to the engine pumps through the fire valves. From the engine pumps, hydraulic fluid flows to the accumulators. From the accumulators, the fluid flows to the hydraulically operated system components, and then back to the reservoirs via the return manifold. In the blue system, The hydraulic fluid flows from the reservoir to the electric pump or the ram air turbine if it is extended. Then it flows to the accumulator. From the accumulator, the fluid flows to the hydraulically operated system components and then back to the reservoir. During the cockpit geographic check, ensure that the RAT manual on push button is guarded. Check that the 4 push button switches for engine 1 pump, blue electric pump, PTU, and engine 2 pump are lights out, indicating they are in their normal on or auto position. Also, check that the yellow electric pump is lights out, indicating that it is in the normal off position. When the green pump output pressure falls below 1,750 pounds per square inch, the hydraulic green engine pump low pressure fault is triggered. A single chime sounds, master caution, ECAM hydraulic page, and the engine 1 pump push button switch fault light will be displayed. When the green hydraulic pressure is 500 psi less than the yellow system, the PTU, if operative, will transfer hydraulic power to the green system to maintain 3,000 psi. The ECAM action is to select the green engine 1 pump off. Touch the green engine 1 pump to select it off. With the engine 1 pump turned off, the ECAM hydraulic page will display the pump cross line amber with the PTU powering the green system. Touch the right arrow to continue. If the blue electric pump overheats, the hydraulic blue electric pump overheat fault is displayed. The ECAM action in this case is to select the blue electric pump off. Touch the blue electric pump push button switch to select it off. With the blue electric pump selected off, there will be no hydraulic pressure to the blue system as indicated on the ECAM hydraulic page. The upper ECAM will now display B system low pressure as a boxed primary failure and flight controls on the right side as a secondary failure. The secondary flight controls failure is displayed because some spoilers have no hydraulic pressure and some flight controls are only powered by one hydraulic system. Pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel, the flight control page now displays the flight controls which are affected by the loss of the blue system. As can be seen by the amber indications, the number 3 spoiler is the only flight control without hydraulic pressure. The other flight controls have at least one other source of hydraulic pressure. Clear flight controls by pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel. The status page lists the inoperative systems. Because spoiler number 3 is inoperative, landing distance is increased by 10%. Slat operation will be slow as they will only be pressurized by one hydraulic system. The approach procedure indicates that the blue electric pump can be selected back to auto if the pump temperature has returned to normal and the blue electric pump push button fault light is out. Clear status by pressing the clear push button on the ECAM control panel. The hydraulic green reservoir low-level warning indicates that the green reservoir quantity is below the minimum level. The PTU will run as soon as a differential pressure is sensed between the green and yellow systems, and since there may be little or no hydraulic fluid in the green system, it must be switched off. Touch PTU push button switch and the engine 1 pump push button switch to complete the ECAM actions. With the ECAM actions complete, the ECAM displays the independent and primary failures as hydraulic green reservoir low level and green system low pressure. The right side also displays the secondary failures, flight controls, and wheel, as they have components which are affected by the loss of the green system. Clear hydraulics and bring up the flight control page by pressing the clear push button on the ECAM control panel. The flight control page shows the number 1 and 5 spoilers inoperative as they are without hydraulic pressure. The other flight controls affected still have at least one other source of hydraulic pressure. Clear flight controls and display the wheel page by pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel. The wheel page displays the affected systems in amber. They are covered in detail in the landing gear module. Clear wheel and bring up the status page by pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel. The status page lists the inoperative systems on the right-hand side. ECAM approach procedures require the landing gear be extended by the gravity extend procedure, as there will be no hydraulic pressure to the landing gear. As well, landing distance is increased by 10% due to spoilers 1 and 5 being inoperative. Slat and flap operation will be slow as they are only pressurized by one hydraulic system. Complete coverage of the affected systems will be covered in related modules. Touch the right arrow to continue. If hydraulic reservoir air pressure is low, the hydraulic reservoir low air pressure caution is displayed. Since there is the possibility of hydraulic pump cavitation, and if the hydraulic pressure is fluctuating, the ECAM actions are to turn off the PTU and the yellow engine 2 pump. Touch the PTU push button switch, then touch the engine 2 pump push button switch to complete the ECAM actions. Touch the right arrow to continue. With the ECAM actions complete, the independent failure of hydraulic yellow engine 2 pump low pressure and a primary failure of yellow system low pressure are displayed. The right side of the ECAM displays flight controls as a secondary failure as they are affected by the loss of the yellow system. Clear hydraulics and display the flight control page by pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel. The flight control page displays spoilers number 2 and 4 as inoperative. The rudder and right elevator are also affected with the yellow system inoperative. Clear flight controls and display the status page by pressing the clear push button switch on the ECAM control panel. The status page displays the inoperative systems on the right with the approach procedure on the left. With the aircraft at a lower altitude, there is a possibility of sufficient air pressure to the reservoir. The yellow engine 2 pump and PTU are returned to their normal positions to try and restore the yellow system. If the system is not recovered, landing distance is increased by 10% due to the loss of spoilers 2 and 4. Flaps will be slow due to only one hydraulic system supplying pressure. Touch the right arrow to continue. A reservoir overheat will trigger the related system overheat fault. As displayed now for the yellow reservoir overheat, the ECAM actions are to turn off the PTU and yellow engine 2 pump. Touch the PTU push button switch and the yellow engine 2 pump to complete the ECAM action. Touch the right arrow to continue. With the PTU and engine 2 pumps selected off, the yellow system will be depressurized. The PTU and engine 2 push button switches will indicate fault as long as the reservoir overheat lasts. Touch the right arrow to continue. At this time, dual hydraulic failures will be discussed. Due to the variables involved in dual hydraulic failures, only the initial warnings, indications, and systems affected will be covered. Complete coverage of dual hydraulic failures will be demonstrated in simulator lessons. Referring back to the hydraulic green reservoir low-level fault, the green system was inoperative with the PTU and engine 1 hydraulic pump selected off. With the green system inoperative and a failure of the yellow system, the hydraulic green and yellow system low-pressure fault will be triggered. The indications are a continuous repetitive chime, a master warning light, a fault light on the yellow engine 2 pump, the ECAM warning message, and the ECAM hydraulic page is displayed. The ECAM action is to select the yellow engine 2 pump off. Touch the engine 2 pump to select it off. A review of the ECAM status page will display the inoperative systems. During the approach, the ECAM will require that the landing gear be extended by gravity due to no hydraulic pressure to the landing gear. Approach speed is increased due to the flaps not being extended, and landing distance is increased due to partial ground spoilers. Braking will be by accumulator pressure only, and slats will be slow as they are only pressurized by one hydraulic system. If the dual hydraulic failure was a green and blue low-pressure fault, a review of the ECAM status page will display the inoperative systems. During the approach, the ECAM will require that the landing gear be extended by gravity due to no hydraulic pressure to the landing gear. Approach speed is increased due to the slats being inoperative, and landing distance is increased due to partial ground spoilers. Flaps will be slow as they are only being pressurized by one hydraulic system. The remaining dual hydraulic failure is the hydraulic blue and yellow low-pressure fault. Selecting the ECAM status page will display the inoperative systems. During the approach, the ECAM will require that the landing gear be extended by gravity to preserve the pressure of the green system. Landing distance is increased due to partial ground spoilers. Flaps and slats will be slow as they are only being pressurized by one hydraulic system.